How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Daddy Dave, and this is Farm Sim Talk, a show where we get to interview other creators within the Farm Sim community. And today, I am joined by fellow YouTuber, Twitcher, Fearsome Rhino, also known as Nate. Nate, how are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic. How about you?
I am amazing tonight. Thank you for asking. So before we get going, I just want to give a big shout out to several of the people I see already in chat. I see the Farmer Man, Rail Fanning Jonah, we got Reaver Time Todd, Wrench Monkey, Ken Adlam, Marty Montgomery. Thank all of you so much for joining us here tonight. Hope you all are going to enjoy the interview. So before we get going, do you want to let everybody know where we can find you?
Of course, you got your Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and what's it called? What name of it? TikTok, and yeah, Twitter as well.
And it's all under Fearsome Rhino?
Everything should be underneath FearsomeRhino2.
Excellent, excellent. I also have those all linked in the description below, both the YouTube and a link tree, all linking to Fearsome Rhino's socials. So go check him out. And before we get going, do you have anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, gotta give a shout out to the entire crew that works for me. Weston, of course, Midwest. Gotta give a shout out to Yosho Hen, Patty, or Average Patty. Of course, the squad, Moreno Man Buck, aka Bucked Up now, and the Formal Pickle.
Excellent.
They've all been
Excellent.
huge helps in this career I've got.
That's fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with our first segment here. It's called Digging Up Dirt. This is the segment where we get to know who you are more as a person rather than the content creator yourself. So, first question I have is, do you have a job outside of content creation, or is this your primary job?
I got lucky enough to be able to make this the primary source of income that I get.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. So,
Appreciate that.
what are some of your hobbies besides farm sim? Do you do any sort of biking, hiking, fishing, sports?
So outside of this, I do a good amount of hunting. I prefer to hunt white-tailed deer and I'm gonna go and say it like this, Rickies. I think we all know what that is. And then on top of that, I love yo fishing. That's just what I love to do. And then of course, small farm as well.
Gotcha. And what kind of fishing do you prefer to do?
Whatever I want to eat that day.
Well, I mean, do you prefer fly fishing? Do you bob or bottom?
Oh, bottom fishing.
Bottom fish? All right, all right. Do any salt fishing or anything like that?
I did when my father was still around, and back then we did a lot of going to the ocean and stuff like that. Ever since then, not really much.
Gotcha, gotcha. And tell me, what are some of your favorite books, movies, music?
So books don't really. The best book I ever read, in my opinion, and this is going to be a funny one, was called The Hatchet. I don't know why. I just loved the book,
And what was that book about?
and it was about a kid that that was in a plane, ended up crashing in the middle of nowhere, and all he had to survive was a hatchet, and he had to survive out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, sounds pretty good. And what
I
about?
enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, what kind of favorite movies do you like?
Favorite movie all time, the best movie ever made, Smoking the Bandit.
Oh, okay, okay. I can pick up what you're putting down there. Was there something in particular about it that really talks to you, or?
The style of the way they did stuff back in the day, you know what I mean? The not having to care about certain things that we do now just made it funnier and just made it more enjoyable.
Gotcha, gotcha. And that seems to be, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I do a fair bit of research before doing these interviews here, and I swore I saw somewhere that you were relatively younger. Last I thought I saw it was like 21 on your YouTube page. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. I'm 21 years old.
So smoking the bandits, well before your time. Is there? Did you just come across it naturally? Did you, have it shown to you as when you were younger, or?
So, father showed it to me when I was younger. About when I was 8 or 9 years old. This is kind of the first time I seen it.
I gotcha. I gotcha. What about music? What kind of music are you into?
Oh, country through and through.
Oh, good man. Good man. Who's your favorite artist?
Right. It's not an artist. It's a band. The band is called The Lax, and they're a really good band. Listened to them since I was a very young kid, and I've loved to love them.
I'm sorry, they were called the Likes?
The Lax.
Lax. Huh, that's a group I'm not familiar with. I'll have to research them after this. Let me.
Yeah, it's called L. It's you have to spell it weird. That's what I'm telling you. Lacs. Lax.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just typed that out, so I will definitely check that one out. Because I'm a pretty big country fan myself, so it actually kind of shocked me that you threw one out there that I never heard of. So we kind of established some of your baseline favorites, but what are some of the oddest things that you've either read, seen, or listened to?
Read, not really read. Like I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read a whole lot of books in my life, so there's not really a whole lot I've read that's been odd. Trying to think. Watched. I don't really. I don't know what would be the audit. Like everything I kind of end up watching is usually pretty normal. I would think.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah.
So, to give you a little bit of time here, the one I always kind of throw out there is the kind of oddest thing that I've seen. I'm a big Star Wars guy. I've grew up watching, 4, 5, and 6. Eventually watched, 1, 2, and 3, and watched 7, 8, and 9. But that's for another time. But but the wildest, oddest movie that I've seen, it was actually a Star Wars movie, and it was made back, I believe, in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. I can't remember. But it was a made for TV adaptation called the Star Wars Holiday Special. And it was just the most wild thing I think I've ever seen. It had all the original cast, all the original characters from the 4, 5, and 6, and it was just mind-meltingly bad. It was terrible. It was directed by George Lucas, like the whole 9 yards, but it was awful. So yeah, that's the one I always throw out there. So what about music? Is there any kind of odd or weird music that you have listened to?
Uh, no, I think that's all. Pretty normal. I mean, I have my certain artists I listen to, which are a lot of the old guys is what I listen to. And then, of course, some of the new guys. But, I mean, Beast Mode would be one of the more odd ones I do listen, but I listen to him pretty regularly. I do have the movie, by the way, now. Took me a few seconds. It'd have to be the knockoff of Fast and Furious called Super Fast.
I think I haven't seen it, but I think I remember the cover of it, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
is so bad. That had to be the worst movie ever created to me.
Oh yeah, no, it looked like it was really bad. If it's the one I remember, because I used to work in a video store, back when video stores were a thing,
Hmm.
and I almost vividly remember the cover because it was almost a one for one knockoff of Fast and Furious, but it was like all the characters' faces like zoomed in, but the cars were like just zipping past, and yeah, it was bad.
No, 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 no. This one, the one I'm talking about, according to this, it came out in 2015. It was so
Oh,
bad.
okay, then yeah,
It
no,
came
it's
out
not the
more
same one.
recent.
Not the same one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, it tried to copy it to the best it could, but it was really, really no.
Was it just bad acting or?
Bad combination of bad acting, bad characters, bad everything.
Oh, that's brutal. And somebody probably was there. It's like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome. So,
I don't know.
what do you think you'd be doing if content creation was no longer an option for you?
So either trucking by now or staying with farming.
So I'm sorry, you kind of broke up there for a second there. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can. I said family farm or either farming with some family friends or doing some truck driving for some family friends.
I gotcha. And so your family owns a farm?
No, 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 no. We used to back in the day. We got rid of it because of certain things that happened.
Okay, I gotcha. I gotcha. And has it always been your dream to be a content creator, or do you feel like you just kind of fell into it?
It was, yeah, yeah. It was the dream from when I was younger. I saw these big YouTubers making it and doing this type of stuff, and I always loved it. I was always a role play fanatic. I don't know what about pretend just drives me. You mean like makes me happy to watch it, but really drove me towards it, and a combination of things kind of helped me get here.
So one thing that I've noticed when I was looking at your channel there is uh, you have other people on doing your role plays and stuff with you. And one thing in particular I noticed is your kind of ability to mesh very well. Do you tend to do a lot of this stuff kind of via script, or how is your creative process for your channel?
Well, so usually what we do is we sit down before we start recording. We'll sit down and have like a little bit of conversation, 10, 30 minutes. Sometimes they last an hour or two, but we're people when some of us don't see each other, but once, twice a week. So we'll sit down, have a conversation, and during that conversation, we'll talk about what needs to get done. So say that episode we got to harvest and sell grain. Well, we'll say, okay, we gotta get this done and this done, and everything in between that, the start of the video, everything like that in between is all off the top of our head and improv.
Oh, that's highly impressive. I mean, the fact that you're able to do, based on what I was seeing there, we were talking behind the scenes, a 2.5 hour episode there, and that whole thing is improv. That's incredibly impressive.
So, do you want to hear the fun part about that? That not a whole lot of people know.
Absolutely.
That 2.5 hours. So that took me and the person working it probably about it took 24 hours worth of footage, but about 30 hours worth of setup, everything like that as well to make that video. It takes about a month to 2 months to make those videos.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, it just goes to show just the amount of effort that goes into, yeah, it seems like it's only 2.5 hours worth of content, but there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people just aren't aware of. It just kind of shows the amount of work and dedication that people have towards their craft.
I'm a firm believer that I got to be happy with everything that goes out, so I just make sure to put my A game forward, everything.
Well, and I tell you what, based on, the videos that I saw, it definitely shows. Absolutely. So,
Oh yeah.
do you have anybody who kind of inspired you to become a YouTuber, a Twitcher, content creator?
I don't know if there's one person I can give it to. I mean, there's one person that I can give my full, like, the reason I'm sitting here today, I can give this person that full reason, but he wasn't technically who inspired me. He just taught me how to do it and gave me the chances. And that would be the rental man Buck. He's the person, which that's a good story on its own, is how I met him. But, I mean, he would be the person that walked me through everything and got me where I am today.
I mean, if you're comfortable with it, go ahead and share the story.
Oh yeah. So back in that, so this was just about that time when the join button became a thing. It was a phenomenal thing in my opinion, and still is. So what he had one of his tiers. I think it costs $35, And what he would do is it was to help out content creators, smaller content creators, and teach them how to do some stuff and make a video with them. Well, I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity like none other. I would like to learn a little bit about content creation. And so I was like, okay, $35. That's a simple investment. You mean if I don't get nothing out of it, well, it's only $35 and I get to meet a YouTuber that I wanted to learn and meet anyway. Well, did the video with him. It's actually the first video or second video on my channel now. And that video taught me so much. It may have took us like 4 hours to record it, but he taught me so much in that 4 hours that it's not even funny about how to set up like OBS and all that stuff. Sorry about that. How to If you're wondering what that is my phone sign alerts from my girlfriend. So sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Okay. And so he showed me how to set up OBS, showed me how to do the editing side of stuff, and it just kind of all went from there.
Oh, that's excellent. So yeah, just a small investment and it sent you right on your way. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I mean, because kind of what happened was is you did the video with him. He just absolutely loved me. He showed me to Grant. Grant got me into a series, and I've been working with like Grant now or the squad for I don't even know how long now, and yeah, it's just been one beautiful thing after another.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's amazing in how something that could seem so small could be like the door that needs to open in order to just walk through. That's a really good story. I like that. So, what is it that you think that you're not very good at that most people would disagree with?
Acting.
Well, I would disagree with that.
I think my acting skills are some of the worst I've ever seen. I cringe. Like there's a reason I can't do my own editing, and that's because I think I'm the worst actor ever.
Well, I will attest from my point of view that I disagree.
But yeah,
So
I know a lot of people would on that one, but that's just
So we were talking behind the scenes, and I was, mentioning how I was watching, some of your videos and whatnot, and I had mentioned that 2.5 hour video that was posted about 3 days ago, and I was just in stitches. I was absolutely rolling just with laughter, and it just reminded me so much of the series that I was doing with my cousin, and just one of those where it just made me smile. It just you could tell that the banter and the kind of rapport that you two have is really solid. So it was one of those that the acting just felt natural.
yeah, it's definitely what we shoot for. Everybody in the group or groups, we shoot for as close to the friendship as we can. When I first started, I had a wrong philosophy, and that was everybody's coworkers treated as such. Now that I've kind of as time went on, it's kind of okay. These people are my friends, and we're going to treat them as such because these guys, at the end of the day, they put up with the same stuff I do, and they live in a lot of the same situation that I am.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible on how not only the mindset shifts from when you first start, because I've had a very similar mindset. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go into this. I'm coming in to have fun, and I wasn't expecting much, from a community standpoint. And as I've gotten more and more involved and more into the like reaching out to others and chatting and all this, and especially through this series here, I've been meeting a lot of great people along the way. And it's one of those that's incredible in how your paradigm really can just turn on a dime. So, do you like to travel?
Oh, absolutely love it.
And what would you say your favorite travel destination is?
Um, Favorite place I've been so far would have had to been when I went to Ohio to meet my G-Port representative. That had to be one of my favorite places to go. But yeah, I've been to a
Nice.
lot of places.
So if money was no object, what would be your like dream vacation? Where would you go?
Alaska. Either
Oh,
Alaska or the Yukon.
man after my own heart. Tell you what. What about Alaska draws you to it?
So I'm going for a different reason than most. Probably a little bit of fishing, but for me, I'm a blue collar man at heart. So I would love to go up there and just see like what gold mining actually looks like in real life, like how it feels to actually do it, and how does it feel to actually do the gold mining yourself.
Oh man, I tell you what, like like a long lost brother almost. Like that would be eerily similar as to what would motivate me to go up there. The fishing, hunting, and just the just to kind of to see how the things work. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you. So my father, he actually took a cruise up there not too long ago. He went up to what was it? Was it Sitka? Um, oh goodness, of course I'm going to space on it now. But he went to several of the ports and whatnot. He did some fishing while he was up there, and went to some of the deadliest catch. They have the boat for the deadliest catch that does the filming off the other boats, kind of thing. And I forget what that
Hmm.
boat is, but he was able to go onto it. They went out to sea, and they didn't go out like to the deep waters where it's just rocking back and forth all crazy and stuff. But it was a really cool adventure, and that would be something that I would be into as well. What other kind of things would you do up there?
I'd be pretty much. I mean, other than like doing a little bit of gold mining, do some fishing, maybe do some hunting up there. That'd be pretty much it. I'm a very, be by myself. Try to be as alone as much as possible while I'm up there.
A man in nature. I get it, man. I can 100% get it. Do you have you ever been like exotic hunting for like moose or bear or anything like that?
No, I haven't had the chances yet in my life. Want to one day. It's just costs a lot of money, and I'm at the beginning part where I still need to get where I'm earning good money, or not earn. Let me rephrase that. Get to where I'm stable in my life, and get to a couple more places.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So, what would you say inspires or motivates you?
Future Nathan. Future Nathan's always what's inspired me because I never know what the next day is going to bring. I never know, like, say, for example, like mods. I never know what mod is going to drop on a mod website or a mod hub. Um, you just, you never get to know, and you never know what kind of video you can make. And if you hit that 1 million viewed video, like I've gotten one that's done it, and I've got one more that give it a couple more, or give it about another year, it should hit it. But you just never know. So, future Nathan's always my good little answer for it.
I gotcha. So it's just a the strive to meet where you hope to be kind of thing. Is that probably
Mm-hmm.
a fair representation?
Exactly. Exactly. That combination, I have life goals and stuff like that. And I know, if I get up in the morning and I continue doing them right now, I'll meet those life goals a lot sooner than most people will meet their life goals.
No, absolutely. No, that's a good motivator. Absolutely. So tell us one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you.
Genuinely surprised to know about me. I don't really know. What would be that answer? Uh, I mean, I don't. Let me think about that one for a second.
So
Because I don't know that one.
to buy you a moment, I'll kind of answer it from my perspective. So people will see me, through my channel and everything that I do here, and they would just immediately presume that I'm very outgoing, very kind of chatty and all that stuff. couldn't be anything further from the truth. I'm actually incredibly introverted, very much like want to be alone, want to be like, like you were saying, my ideal vacation is to be out in the middle of the woods somewhere, by myself or with my family, and just listening to nature kind of thing. That's my idea of heaven. You get me in a room with a whole bunch of people and whatnot, I quiet down and I listen. It's not that I'm not interested in being there, it's that I only contribute to the conversation where it adds value kind of thing. So it's one of those that people are generally surprised, very surprised, if they were just seeing me through my content, that would be my personality in real life.
I would guess it'd have to be like how I've had a couple of people who I've met, and when they first heard about me or thought that, were like, "Oh, he's gonna be not the nicest person in the world," and realize how nice and how much like I will. If I believe in someone or something like that, and someone shows a lot of promise, I'll sit down with them and do like what Buck did with me and teach them the ups, the downs, and tell them, you mean this, you're going to experience this, this, and this, and show them how to do stuff.
I gotcha. So, what would you say would be one of your biggest fears that keeps you up at night?
My channel getting deleted.
No, I could see that.
One day waking up and this all being gone. That'd be the worst. You can, I'm going to tell you right then. My doctor, she may not like what I do right now, but she'd hate it a lot worse.
No, I could absolutely see that being a huge fear, especially because it is something that could, genuinely happen. It's something that every one of us has to fear every single day. It could be, something as small as, oh, hey, I angered somebody by saying the wrong thing, and now all of a sudden they're messing with the channel and doing all that kind of stuff. There's so many different things that can be at play.
No, I legitimately watched it happen to somebody. Rental Man Buck, he actually had his entire channel deleted by YouTube because he had his channel hacked. And they got, like, have you seen like those Tesla streams on YouTube or stuff like that where like they're saying it's gonna be Bitcoin and stuff like that? Just, well, obviously a hack channel.
Yeah. Okay.
He had that hack happen to him, and when it happened to him, he lost everything.
Oh my goodness. So, do you know what
And
he had to do to get it back, or?
he reached out to YouTube, and you mean, thank God he has some ways to verify himself, and he was able to verify that he was the owner of the channel, and they got it back up and running for him. It's just
Oh,
still, you mean, how scary that had to be was what I was kind of oof.
well, I remember something like that happening to Mr. Sealy P at one point, if I'm not mistaken, where he basically had his channel hacked, and that's where he realized, oh, hey, there's a thing called, I think it was like two-factor authentication, and he had to, he set that up like immediately afterwards, but there was some like thing that he had to go through specifically where he was trying to verify who he was, and he had something either written down or was something specific that he had to give the people at YouTube, and all of a sudden he just so happens to find it out of the blue, and he's like, okay, here it is, and boom, the channel comes back and everything's fine. But
I
oh
need to
man,
find out what that is so I can write it down because I have no clue what that would be.
I honestly I have no idea. I just remember I was watching his channel at that around that time, and then all of a sudden the channel was just gone one day, and I'm like, that's weird, and you can't even look it up in search or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, something's going on. And then about a few days later, he pops back on and he gives this whole explanation. Oh, this is what happened, and I had to go through this, that, and the other thing. It was about 3 or 4 days where he just wasn't available. He was just gone. It was just, oh my goodness. And now being on this side of the camera, I could just imagine how terrifying that would be.
Oh, I would be dead. You wouldn't be able to get me out of bed for like months. I'm going to say that right now. I would be devastated.
Well, especially somebody who's in your position where this is your job, this is your primary source of income. So it'd be a huge devastation at that point.
Mhm. I can't say this. I know I wouldn't be the only one crying in that situation. I have an editor, and he would definitely be crying as well because
Oh
he'd have to
yeah.
go get a real job like me.
Well, and that's the thing too is something like that happens, and especially when you are a creator, like you said, you've got people who work with you for you. All of a
Mhm.
sudden like if your channel got blown up or whatever the case happened, well then it doesn't just affect you; it affects so many other people downstream as well. And people will sometimes do this stuff and think it's fun, or they'll hack your account and it's like, oh hey, let me put on this advertisement kind of nonsense, but they don't realize the lives that are affected doing this, or they just don't care, which I don't know if which one's worse.
They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you own any pets?
Yes, I own actually a good amount.
May we ask what kind?
So I own two Chihuahuas. Those two actually, whenever I'm recording, are in the room. So if you accidentally hear like a dog barking or something like that in a video, it's probably one of them too. And then I have a specialty dog that is a black and tan red bone cross. That is specifically used for Rickies. And I have a lot of chickens and a cattle or two.
Oh, okay, okay. So you do a little bit of farming, or?
A little bit of hobby farming is, you mean, enough, not a whole lot, but enough to kind of, you mean, put a little bit of food on the table, stuff like that, with like the eggs and raising the beef
So let
because the
me.
price of stuff is expensive,
Oh, yeah. I would definitely consider buying me a few chickens at this point in time. So,
especially if they just keep going up.
oh my goodness, yeah. Here's hoping that things start to level out here soon. Because holy smokes, I think I went to the store today. I think it was like $6 for a carton or something like that. It was nuts.
At one point I saw it hit $10 for a carton where I live. It wasn't long before it went down, but it was still way too close to that $10 mark. And honestly, that's when I went and bought a lot of chickens. I had a couple before that, but it really, when that hit, I bought a ton more. I've actually been going to sales every week for that.
So I've had farm fresh eggs. Not everybody has, but there's a huge, huge difference between the ones that you'll get fresh from the farm and the ones that you get from the store. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh, 100%. They taste so much better. They're healthier for you at the end of the day. They're not antibiotic pumped. Yes, people do give their chickens, like I give my chickens a special type of scratch that makes them produce more eggs, but that's just to help them with their calcium. Because if they don't have enough calcium in their system, they'll die of no calcium pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that you had a couple of cows. Do you raise them for beef, or do you do like milk and stuff?
Beef only.
Beef only. Okay, okay. Any particular breed, or?
Angus.
Oh, nice, nice. So
We used
eventually,
to do back in the day. We used to do an Angus cross with a what would have been Holstein.
okay.
Yeah, Angus cross with Holstein, but we had too many issues with neighbors calling the cops because they thought the cows were malnourished because they looked it. What's it called? Holsteins have a more of a narrow frame where they look malnourished at times, even
Mm-hmm.
though they're 100% healthy. So we realized it's just not the way to go. We just stick to pure Angus now.
Wow. So just the people thought you were just like neglecting them and would just call the cops randomly?
Yeah, they would call the cops. We would have them come out to the farm and they would look at them and say, "Oh, yes, all these cows are perfectly healthy. It's just, you mean, the way they were bred together meant they were gonna. I mean, they're gonna look a little bit on the malnourished side. Well, because we had the bull was the Holstein, and the Angus were the females. The neighbors just didn't like that, but I don't know. I prefer that meat, and even to this day, I've never had beef that tasted so tender and just the right amount of fat like that cross was.
Oh man, and that's a real shame too, because you get some nosy neighbors who don't know what they're talking about, and now all of a sudden you have to be like, okay, well, I just don't want to deal with the headache anymore, so I'm gonna change it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a real shame.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's those neighbors.
do you have any aspirations to grow the farm, or are you just happy where it's at the moment?
Well, realistically, in the last few weeks, we've really grew the farm. Because I've realized where the egg market is right now, and I've realized that it's time for me to start taking advantage of it. So we've grown. You mean we went from like two chickens? You mean enough to produce another? Because I don't eat many eggs. I'm a tiny bit allergic to the sulfur in eggs, so it's not like I get sick or anything like that. I just don't feel well after eating them. But you mean I still eat eggs and stuff like that occasionally. So we would have enough to do that. But now that we've seen egg prices where they are, we've been buying a ton more chickens and building chicken coops.
That's I tell you what, that's entrepreneurship right there. You see a hole in the market, you try and fill it. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, plus, I mean, even right now, even where we're sitting right now, I think we went from two. We're looking at the 20 mark. We still, with how many people want our eggs, and we just started selling them about a week ago. We can't produce enough eggs even for the people.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. So do you are you going to continue to try and get more, or are you just trying to see how things kind of weather for the time?
Certain. We're right now. We're at the point where I noticed. I've been going to a lot of sales and stuff like that lately, and I've learned certain breeds are, how do I say this correctly, going for stupid amounts.
Mm,
Actually, last night I saw three chickens. Last night they're a certain breed. I think they were called like Orpingtons or something like that. I'm not 100% I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But they went for $110 a piece.
wow.
That about blew me out of the water when I heard $110 a piece for three chickens.
So have you considered maybe getting an incubator to see if you can raise up some hens?
Oh yes, we actually do have an incubator. It's just I'm waiting. The hens that I have that I would want to incubate are buffs. I'm waiting on them to have enough eggs. I only got three of those, and I would want 24 eggs to incubate.
And have you ever done anything like that before, or is this like all just kind of new to you?
When I was younger, we did a lot of this type of stuff. You mean as I kind of grew older, some stuff happened in my life where couldn't really get to farm as much, so we really, like we used to have 10, 15 cattle when I was younger. We dialed everything back to very, very bare minimum.
Gotcha, gotcha. So stepping away from the farm just for a little bit, who would you say is your favorite creator outside of the farming sim community? Do you watch YouTube or other creators out there?
I watch a ton of it. It usually, not making videos. I'm usually watching videos, trying to learn different styles and stuff like that.
So who would you say is some of your favorite creators outside the farm sim community?
I got to give it to Barry Bugs.
Okay.
10 out of 10. He'd be some. He's a GTA 5 roleplay content creator. Um, Seems like a 10 out of 10 person I'd love to meet one day.
I gotcha, gotcha. And what about inside the community? Who would you say your favorite creator is?
Can't do that to me. You can't be doing that to me now, bud, because you asked me to pick between a bunch of my big friends right now.
Okay, no, I completely understand. No, not a worry, not a worry. So, all right, here's a question for you. If you can meet any three people, whether whether alive or dead, who would they be and why?
So I actually, when I was watching your one with Midwest, I actually sat back and like I wonder who those three people are. I've thought about it real hard. First one is Mr. Beast.
Okay,
Um, I would love to know more about the algorithm, and he has it down. I would love to know some of the knowledge he has. So, Mr. Beast would be first on that list. Next on that list would have to be, uh, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Burt Reynolds.
gotcha.
Of course, from my favorite movie. Would love to meet him for all of his good acting he did. And number three, honestly, couldn't really Buck, but that's gonna happen one day.
I gotcha. That's not, yeah, a good list. Very good list. So, you mentioned that you're a Smoking the Bandit fan and fan of Burt Reynolds. Is there other movies of his that you're a fan of, or
Oh, uh, he did. I remember when he did the one that was the what's it called? Dukes of Hazzard one. He did.
mm-hmm,
That was
mm-hmm.
a good one as well. Pretty good fan. Pretty much any actor in him in it, he was a really good actor for it. Now, of course, there was the occasional ones where I wasn't the biggest fans, but I really can't remember those.
And what was your first paying job?
Let me think for that one second. First paying job was picking up cans. Um, yeah. My grandfather, my grandfather would drink a lot, or still does. He drinks a lot of Cokes and stuff like that in the cans. So he would, put them in a basket, and he'd wait all year long for it. And he would just constantly throw away the cans and stuff like that. Just keep throwing them away. And at the end of the year, they'd be spread out almost all amongst his yard. So what I would do is go amongst the yard and pick up all the cans, because what he said is, the ones that are in the baskets he was going to sell. He said any of the cans that were outside the baskets and stuff like that I put into a basket, I'd get the money for that.
Oh wow, okay. So it had to be a pretty decent amount if you're going all year round.
Oh, I think I'd make about $20 or something like that for it at a time. $20, $30.
That's, I mean, for cans, that's good price.
Yeah, it was a good amount of cans.
So was that like going to the grocery store with like the returns, or was it like a recycling center?
Oh, yeah, we always take it to the recycling center. Recycling center always gave us more.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, no. So I'm originally from Michigan, and we had the deposits up there. So whenever you bought, a case or whatever, glass bottles, cans, plastic bottles, they would always have a 10-cent deposit that you put down on each of the cans or on bottles or whatever, and you would then be able to return them back to the store, and you'd get that 10 cents back. So you'd always keep your cans around, and it just incentivize you to return them because you're spending that money, so might as well. But ever since I moved down to Florida, they don't have anything like that down here. But I do I do drink my aluminum cans and whatnot, and I found that there's several aluminum shops around here, or metal shops around here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you bring your cans and we'll take them." It's like it's pretty pretty lucrative for taking the time just to bag them up and take them down, kind of thing. So yeah,
Hmm.
would recommend. All right, so that is all the questions I have for the first segment. So now let's go ahead and check out the chat there and see what everybody has to ask. So let's Let's see. Take a look here just real quick. All right, so the first question I see comes from Ken Adlam. Ken, thank you so much for your question. Says, what is the best thing on FS25 you enjoy the most?
GPS through and through. GPS had to be the biggest add-on to the game because now I don't have to go through certain third parties for their GPS, and I don't have to rig it up to work.
So do you play on console or do you play on PC?
PC only at this point.
And do you use, or I don't think it's available yet, but did you use mods like the not follow me courseplay and things like that?
Yes, but
Okay.
yeah, I did. There is still part of me that misses the old way workers used to work because I feel like they worked a little bit better in certain situations.
I got you. So is there a function of the oh goodness, courseplay? Is there a function of the courseplay that you're missing up until this point?
Nope. Because all I used Courseplay for was the you mean I miss how like it would act realistic in the fields, but I know I could get it back because they do have Courseplay right now out for 25. But I don't miss it. Period. I'm not a big missing Courseplay kind of person because the main thing I used it for was the doing multiple headlands and stuff like that, which the new GPS system does that for us with the AI.
That's awesome. That's good. I'm personally a console player, so I'm not deeply familiar with this stuff, but I do follow enough content where I'm able to kind of piece this stuff together. So I just wasn't exactly sure whether or not that was something that was like, did they make enough improvements, or not even improvements? Did they do enough with GPS that it's kind of taking over the need for courseplay? And it sounds like, in your opinion, it does.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, doing the instead of having to do those headlands, which that was the most aggravating part about the old system is you would have to pre-do the headlands and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job what they had, and they made it about as immersive as they could without going too far.
I gotcha. Let's see. Next question comes from Stefan Family Farm. Stefan, thank you so much for your question. I greatly appreciate it. It says, any idea if you're going to bring any other games to your channel?
Well, we have ATS on the channel. We have, of course, American Farming and then Farm Sim. Uh, we do have maybe there's a couple ideas. I would love to do another one of the Hunter Call the Wild videos. I know it may have a Farm Sim thumbnail on it, but we try to do a collage of where we start in one game, and say like with that one we went and did a camping video, and we would use Hunter Call the Wild to do a hunting section of the video.
Okay, so you just kind of splice in other segments of different games to make the whole episode.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of makes the video more immersive and better feeling.
That's actually a really good idea. I never thought of doing something like that, but I mean, makes sense. Let's see. We got I love Dan. Dan, thank you so much for your question. Says, can we expect more horse farm / welding series, Rhino?
Horse farm. We've been waiting on Buck to get back from his few weeks. Me and Jake were just talking about that the other day during a recording of a new series me and him's doing. And welding. I'm just waiting. Honestly, I'm waiting on a mod that looks good to use for the welding series. Because it needs a certain type of mod that you could do a lot of customization with or building with. That is just there's not really a whole lot out for.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, that looks to be all the questions I have up until this point. I want to thank everybody for sending in their questions. And now we can move on to our second segment. This one is called the meat and potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is where we get to know you more for your content creation and who you are for that. So let's go ahead and start out with, I think, probably one of the more obvious questions. What's the story about your username?
I love how I will say this. I love how most people have like this wild description, like, yeah, I came up with it doing this, this, and this. Mine was randomly generated from Xbox. It was just a randomly generated name that got given to me,
So,
and I
so
just kind of kept it.
So literally, it's just your Xbox username that you just kind of ran with.
Yeah, exactly. I just kind of ran with it. I was like, I like it. It kind of separates me out a little bit, and rhinos are usually known to be one of the. I've done a lot of research on rhinos. This is the funny part, like, because I had to write a paper on them when I was in high school. Rhinos are more of a protective group of their own people, and of course, one of the most strongest animals, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, they're incredibly territorial. So yeah, if you're in there and ridiculously fast for their size.
Hmm.
I forget. I read it somewhere that they can cover a pretty good clip, but I can't remember exactly how fast it was. But it was up there. They'd run down most people.
Yeah, they're definitely. They're a strong animal. I mean, yeah. So I was like, you know what? And plus, it's like it fits me very well with who I am. It was very brand, in my opinion, a rhino is very brandable as well because I was able to call the people in my community the crash community because a crash of rhinos is a herd pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to and I do a lot of crashing in farm sim, so it kind of just fit the whole situation.
Do you do a lot of live content or anything where you can keep like a crash counter going?
I've always wanted to try to keep a crash counter going. It's just I'm not that technical for setting up live streams like that.
I gotcha.
I barely know how to hit go live, so we're doing good if I can do that.
I know. I get you there. I get you there. I, uh, I've always wanted to do something like that, similar to my channel, but I've always been afraid that it would eventually just turn into the number just going higher and higher and nothing else.
Exactly.
So you mentioned how you've done other bits of content other than Farming Simulator. American Truck Simulator, I think, was one of them that you mentioned. Is there and you also said that you kind of splice the content from other video games into your main series kind of thing to kind of make them a bit more immersive. Is there any kind of games that you play, let's say just off channel? What kind of games besides Farming Sim, ATS, and so forth that you're kind of a fan of?
So, I'll start with the games that I'm forced to play. I'll start with the game I'm forced to play. I'm not a fan of it, but my girlfriend, I don't think she'd be my girlfriend anymore if I didn't play it with her. You got Fortnite that I play a lot. Uh, Spend some time with her, and then on top of that, 5M. I did play that for a little bit. I've decided to kind of cut back on that. There's pretty much my only other game. I'm a very simple person when it comes to playing video games. If it's not Farm Sim, oh, iRacing would be the only other one. But
And
I
I'm
do live stream that as well.
and I'm sorry, but you broke up during the part where you said the game that you played because of your girlfriend. What game was that?
Oh, Fortnite.
Fortnite. I gotcha. Okay, okay. That's one that has not bestowed itself upon me. So yeah, no, that's just never been my cup of tea. So, what is it that you think is the most appealing to you about Farming Simulator? Is it because you kind of have the ties to the farming in your personal life, so it's just kind of a natural progression to be in the virtual as well?
Agriculture's been my life. It was what made me the person I am today. So, I give it. You mean farming sim and agriculture just kind of go hand in hand, and plus it's a good game that could do good quality role play in as well.
I gotcha. So,
Where
sorry, go ahead.
it's also, you mean, it's also a game you can make into what you want to be. So take a situation like what my number one series is right now, gold mining. The fact that I can take a farming game and do gold mining in it, and you mean never have to touch a harvester or anything like that, and to do a harvest video and it looks good. I think that's a really good thing.
Oh, absolutely. That's something I've always said about this game is it's whatever the individual who's playing it wants it to be. You can play the most realistic and do everything by the book. You could sit there and do like the most ridiculous fast farming. You don't even have to do farming. You can do forestry. You can do, like you said, mining. It's incredible how universal this game can be. Would you say that Farm Sim is your favorite game out there?
I guess it by default, yeah.
Okay. And one thing that I've always said in regards to farming sim is it's calming and relaxing nature that's behind it. So I belong to many communities over the years. Played sports like hockey. Played like the shooter games, Call of Duty, things like that. But one thing that I kind of realized throughout the tenure of those games is that after I was done playing them, I was really stressed out. I was really kind of like, just heart was pumping and the whole 9 yards, and I was more, I don't want to say anxious, but kind of hyped up and worked up after playing them. And as I've gotten older, it's just I desired that feeling less and less. And then I stumbled across Farming Simulator and I realized, whoa, I'm able to kind of sit back, relax, and just kind of follow the procedures. Would you say that that's something that kind of appeals to you as well?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The creativity or we do with it. Now, of course, I don't get the luxury of like coming home to it. I got to play it every day, no matter what. But yeah, it's a good game at least to play, and I can do what I want with it.
And how long have you been doing Farm Sim content?
Just started year three, so over 2 years now.
Oh wow! So yeah, you're just slightly in front of me in years. So what's one thing that you never expected when you started your channel? And some examples I give are, the sense of community, any like unexpected backlash, things along those lines.
Where it's kind of taken me, like how big it got. I was never thinking I was going to get past the 10K mark, much less the 50K. And hopefully by the end of this year, the 100K. It just all that together just kind of surprises me, and it surprises me to know that I was able to reach a goal of like getting a video with 1 million views. You mean to see how many people actually want to hear, as I like to say, this redneck talk is funny to me.
No, and that's fantastic, and I'll definitely knock on wood for you to get you to closer to 100 because that'd be fantastic. So when you started your channel, would you say that you were like just surprised that you even found the traction to begin with? Because when I started my channel, it was just one of those, I just started for fun. It's just like, oh, I'll just post a video here, post a video there, and see how they do, kind of thing. And to this day, that's what I do. Were you kind of surprised when you kind of found your niche and were able to like get the traction?
Not so much because of the situation I did with Buck and everything like that, but after that and the video, I figured like any videos that had him in it or the squad in it were going to do well. I never thought there'd be a day that I could post a video by myself, and you mean, or a video with my group of individuals I work with and get more views off of that video than a video with like Grant or Buck. I never really thought that day would ever come.
Well, I mean, like I said, congratulations. It's, you know, based on what I saw, it's well deserved. Absolutely well deserved. So,
I
what?
cannot take any of that credit. I'm gonna say it right now. I will never take any of this credit. It's everybody around me has been who made me what I am and helped me out. Especially the main man, Isaac. That man through and through. He's the editor of the channel. Any video, almost any video you see, is what his project was. Without him, we would not. I would not be here to this day.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So, walk us through like a typical day for you, because YouTube and Twitch being your full time job. Walk us through your day.
Oh, it's going to sound really bad here for a second, okay? It balances itself out, okay? So I wake up about 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oof,
First thing I
lucky.
do, I get up. I don't like mornings. I'm not a morning person, but it balances itself out, trust me. So first thing I do, once I do like the normal routines around the house, get some stuff done, eat some lunch real fast, get behind the desk. By then it's usually closer to 3. Make the thumbnail for the day. I give myself about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to make the thumbnail, or depending, longer than that usually, depending on like what the video is, what the thumbnail needs to be. From there, I'll relax for a little bit, watch a couple of videos, kind of treat that as the me time. A lot of the people who I record with aren't available until in the late afternoons. So I get that first little beginning of the day to like set up any videos that need to be set up, get anything like that done, or maybe even record by myself. Usually closer to 6:30, I'll go outside, go for a normal run, check on the animals, make sure they're doing good, and be back in the house by 8 o'clock to start recording. And then I will record from 8. Usually, there's been times I'll record from 8 to 12, and then work on just like miscellaneous stuff from there until about 3 or 4 a.m.
Okay. Okay. So,
Uh, unless I'm working with the Australian and Midwest, then I'm working. Then my day is completely turned upside down because I'm working till like 6, 7 a.m.
oof, oof. I mean,
Yeah, they're not. They're good people. They're not fun to work with at times though.
so I mean, I can't help but mention that I am incredibly jealous when you said that you wake up at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Having 2 children of my own, it's one of those that I have not experienced that luxury in a good long time. Um, but
I don't have one yet. Thank God. But I think that day is coming eventually, depending on what me and the girlfriend end up doing one day.
well, if that's in your future, then I wish you good luck. In a good way, in a good way. Um, I always say that having my kids, having my 2 little girls, are probably the best thing I've ever done with my life. Um, and it doesn't matter how successful I am in other areas, they will be my mark of success.
Hmm.
So that's the one thing I will say is they are a blessing. So you know if that's in your cards, then good luck with it.
Appreciate it.
So when did you start playing Farming Simulator? Like what iteration of Farm Sim?
Farm Sim 13.
Oh, so you've been playing for quite some time.
Well, that was the first game I ever played was Farm Sim 13. I played it for a long time. I forgot what console I had at that time. But I played it on that. And I didn't touch the game again until Farm Sim 19 when I got my first Xbox.
Okay, so you went on a pretty big hiatus there. You went because there was 13, 15, 17, and then 19. So you missed out completely on 15 and 17?
Hmm.
Oh wow. Okay, okay. So what kind of so what drew you to start playing on 13?
Young kid, my father bought it for me. Said, "Here you go."
Okay. And then you took that hiatus. What kind of brought you back?
So I got it for Christmas one year. Uh, and that was kind of the gift my father wanted me to make sure I had was the farm sim.
And which farm sim that you've played up until this point would you say is your absolute favorite?
I gotta give it as much as I want to. Like gameplay wise, 22. I mean, 19. Uh, I mean, because like the mods and stuff like that. But memorying and like, time spent on it would be 22 all the way. Like 22 has good memories and it has good amount of time. So I think I put 4,000 hours on that game before it was over.
Wow. That's a good amount of time. That's a real good amount of time. So now, depending on how you want to answer this, take this in however direction you want to go in. But what would you consider to be your most favorite map?
UMRV.
No hesitation there.
UMRV, and there's only one reason it's my favorite map, was the map that I got my first 30,000 viewed video. And that was actually the video that got me monetized on YouTube. And that was a series that kind of kickstarted the whole channel.
I gotcha. And what would you say is your least favorite map?
Any European map?
So, would you consider yourself to be more of an American style player?
Through and through.
I
If
get
I
you.
if I look for my channel's sake, if I look at a European map to do for a video, I might as well just go ahead and say goodbye to those views.
Is it just the like
It's the
what would you say is the reason for that? Is it just the kind of nature of what you do, or
the audience I've built. The majority of them are American audience. So I mean, Americans don't really like a lot of the stuff with European, and I can definitely tell that with these country boys that watch my stuff.
I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So, if you could pick any map throughout all of Farm Sim history to come to FS25, what map would that be?
So I'm actually gonna say UMRV because there's a chance that it may not come back.
Oh,
There's been no the person who usually converts it that has not came out with any information by now. He usually had, um, but he's working on another map right now. But there's a good chance he's not gonna bring it back this time. So UMRV through and through.
I gotcha. And so, what is it specific about? What is it specifically about UMRV that like really kind of drew you to it? Outside of the views, outside of the kind of interactions that you got with it, what made it special, like to you to play?
It always seemed like a good map to work with friends on. You could always get a good amount of people on there and have some fun, make some laughs and stuff like that. It's in a good part of the United States. Uh, Beautiful map, honestly. The person who, the DR, the original creator of it, did an amazing job with just like the landscape sculpture and like having the the water feature down the middle of it. It just made it a beautiful place.
So, of the maps that have been announced up until this point for FS25 so far, what's one that you're looking forward to coming out?
Ray County would be the only one that hasn't been released public yet that I'd be looking forward to coming out. I've already played it though.
Okay.
So, yeah, Ray County.
And before Farm Sim was released, what feature were you the most excited for? So we had that whole period of time where we were starting to get information slowly but surely before the actual release date, and they were just kind of drip, drip, drip the information to us. What one really got you the most excited?
Uh, it would have to be GPS. GPS was the only one that really excited me from a content creation standpoint.
Okay. So that's actually a really unique take because a lot of people I've heard up until this point, it's like, oh well, from a content creation side, they're telling me like the ground deformation or the fog or the like kind of weather events, things like that.
I
I
can
think
tell you right now. I can tell everybody this right now. Okay, if Giant Software removed the fog tomorrow, I would love their game 30 times more. I feel like they overdid the fog through and through.
you know what? No lie detected.
And the only reason I say that is because I don't know if anybody's noticed this. Whenever you go, like for me specifically, if I go to get a thumbnail, I have to skip a couple of days in the future or like a day in the future to get rid of all the fog, and it makes me so mad.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I completely understand. It's so from what I understand, there's a mod, and I believe it's for PC only. But it like enhances the weather events and things like that. Do you have that one on your machine?
No, I have enough trouble with the weather as it is.
So I've heard.
I just learned about. Listen, I just learned about the command that you can put in to get rid of some of the fog.
Oh, so that's a game changer for you right there.
Oh yeah, there's a certain command you can put into the command prompts, and it takes away like majority of the fog, if not all the fog, depending on the time of day.
Oh, see, the things that we wish we knew earlier, right?
Exactly, it makes thumbnails so much better. It's just better for me. It makes me less grumpy when I'm getting thumbnails.
Oh, what would you say besides the fog is something that you have the hardest time with in FS25 when creating content?
I don't. Fog is the only thing I fight. Everything else, it kind of works around me very easily, or I've found workarounds for it at this point. The fog is the only thing that I constantly am fighting.
Okay. So we established that GPS was your favorite feature that was announced, leading up to the release. So what was your favorite feature that you were excited about but quickly soured on after its release, besides fog?
I was never excited about fighting. Take that right now.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
Let me think. I'm trying to think about that one. Tornadoes, really. I feel like they were. I feel like they were overhyped for not enough. Because in my opinion, and this is just me, I may be wrong, but I don't feel like it would have been that overly hard to have it where the object just gets picked up and thrown around. Yes, it may not do damage to the buildings. I'm kind of okay with that, but like make it where it picks stuff up and throw it.
I gotcha. I got no, and I'm right there with you. It'd be a really cool feature to kind of throw that into the mix, kind of thing. As you come in one day, you skip ahead the next day, and all of a sudden, all your equipment's just strewn about the map everywhere. I think that'd be hilarious. But of course,
Exactly, but
go ahead.
it'd get old quickly. But I feel like they could make it where just like you can disable tornadoes.
Yeah, no, and you took the words right out of my mouth. It was one of those where I could see that being hilarious the first time. The second time, the third time, like I would be so grumpy by the second or third time experiencing that. It's like, oh my goodness, I've got to go all the way up to here to go get my equipment again. So let's see. What was one thing not in Farm Sim that you really wish was?
Peanuts. Peanuts. That would be the only thing I would really wish they'd bring into the game finally.
So why peanuts?
Because that's what I mean. I'm from, as many as my community knows, I'm from Georgia, and here in Georgia we do a lot of peanut harvesting.
Oh yeah, no, I actually resided in Georgia for about 2 years, and yeah, you can drive along 75 and just see all the between the peaches signs, you'd see tons of peanut signs all the time. You got
Hmm.
your boiled peanuts, you got your peanut farm. Like, yeah, I understand. So you'd mentioned how you were more into the American style farms. Um, Outside of being an American, what kind of draws you to that style of farming? Is it just because it just feels more at home, or is it just the kind of the style is more conducive to your level of play?
Uh, it's just more. It feels more like at home. It feels. I mean, You mean with doing American farming, knowing a lot of American farming in my life, it feels more at home. It makes it seem more realistic to me, than doing something that I have no clue. You mean with doing American farming, I can talk like I know a little bit about it. Where if I was doing something for like a European farm or something like that during a video, I wouldn't even know the half of what they do because they have dis so many different types of regulations and rules over there. It's completely different than how we do stuff here.
No, and that makes sense. Is that you're, especially because you've done farming at least to certain levels, you're able to speak more confidently than if you were to say jump on the European map. You'd have to either do the research or kind of dig deeper into things in order to not sound like it's completely fictitious.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. So what style of farming would you say is your preference to do? Do you prefer to do like arables, forestry, grass care, husbandries?
Row crop with cattle.
Okay, okay. And what would you say is your favorite thing to do in game for like the crops themselves? Like what specific type?
Uh, Corn and soybeans.
Okay, okay.
But I can
And
guarantee this: the day that Farm Sim comes out with peanuts, if they ever do, which I think they should one day, I'll guarantee everybody right there that will be the day that I will be doing peanuts and cotton, and corn only.
I gotcha. So one thing, so you are actually the first person I've talked to who's thrown out a other fruit type or a crop type where it, it, it they'd thrown out the crop type of peanuts. Really, up until this point, I've heard, oh well, all these maps they have alfalfa. Let's throw in alfalfa and let's add that into base game. So outside of peanuts, and now outside of alfalfa, is there any other crops that you would be like, I think farm sim should have this in it as well?
Right, like some more of your cereal crops like rye, um, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's not really a whole lot more crops really left, in my opinion. But you got like your rye, your onions, and stuff like that.
Okay, okay. So when you're on farm sim and you're kind of going at it, do you do a lot of the contract work?
Mm-mm.
No, it's pretty infrequent that you do it, if at all.
I would like to do more of it, but you mean I don't really play. So I'm at the point I don't play the game for fun anymore. I play it for videos only now. Um, with that being the case, I've realized that viewers don't really like us using contracts, and I don't understand why. But I've noticed if I do a contract during a video, they just don't enjoy it.
Okay, okay. So when you do get to do the contracts, what would you say is your favorite one to do?
Um, either the mowing or the bell wrapping. Usually is the ones I kind of will go towards.
And what would you say is your least favorite?
Any vegetable.
So like the potatoes and like root crops, or
Mm-hmm.
and is that
If
one
it's a
because
vegetable, you can go and count me out of it.
so is that because of the amount of time it takes to do, or
Yeah, pretty much. That plus they're a small machine. Uh, it's a small machine, takes so long, and I just can't stand it.
I gotcha. So as a content creator, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start in this field?
Don't suffer for quality. Don't let your quality suffer. If you're not feeling up to par to record that day, don't force it. Don't if you're like, oh, I just gotta get this video done, and you get into it and you just never feel that rhythm really hitting. There's been times with the guys who I work with, like we'll go sit down and start recording, and we'll get like an hour into it. And I'm like, everybody go, everyone, let's take the night off. We're done, because it's like you could tell the rhythm's not there. You can tell that the mixing isn't proper, and you can just tell you're gonna suffer in quality. And you mean in a channel, the viewers can tell. You may be good at editing it out and everything like that, but the viewers can tell when you're having a bad day. They can tell. And I've realized that a lot. So just don't let it suffer. Also, think about quality. Don't ever say, "Oh, that's good enough." Never get complacent where you are. I've seen a lot of people that say, "Well, this is good for where I am." Okay, that's good for where you are, but that's where you're going to stay if you think that's good. Like you got to be you can be happy with what you're doing, but never be fully satisfied. Like me, I fully believe I can be doing 30 times better. Like I believe that I could be doing better in the thumbnail game. I believe I can be doing better in the video game. And you mean I'm trying every day to make sure I'm doing, and that's something that a lot of people don't really realize. Uh, Another big thing I tell people is make 3 videos, send them out to your friends, and tell them you want their honest opinion. And once you get their honest opinion, go find you like 3 people. You know what I mean? Like find 3 people that maybe have been doing this a little bit, or try to find someone that's a small YouTuber to start getting into it, and send it to them and say, "Hey, would you watch this?" Like the person, so my editor, he has one rule: make sure the video when he's editing it, that he could go back and watch it and enjoy it. And the reason he has that rule is because he hates farm sim content. He never watched it before getting this job, and he never. You mean he doesn't watch it outside of this job. So you mean if he's able to watch it, everyone's able to watch it. That's kind of my little what I tell people.
so that completely makes the world of sense. You know, it can be kind of almost summarized as stay hungry kind of thing, like
Exactly.
always striving to do better. And I think that is absolutely hilarious that your editor is is doing farm sim content and doesn't care for it. That's I don't know why, but I just got a big kick out of that. I audibly laughed.
Well, that's the funny thing. Not a whole lot of people realize. So a lot of the bigger guys who have editors, I've met their editors, and a lot of them don't like farm sim. 90% of the editors that do editing for farm sim, uh, they don't care for it.
It's amazing what people will do when it's the job kind of thing.
Exactly. But also, it's one of those things. It's someone, because you mean my videos. I think I have a good amount of videos that's on my channel. It's like people who don't like farm sim are still attracted to those videos. You mean, say you're not the biggest fan of it. There's still videos on my channel, like the gold miner, for example. There's still some videos on that channel that's gonna be like, this is actually pretty fun to watch. And that's kind of like our goal is we want to make sure that everyone can enjoy it, not just like the advocate farm sim user.
And like I said, based on the research I was doing, and I keep harkening back to that video, that 2.5 hour video there. It is absolutely true that you can sit down and watch it and not be a farm sim fan, but because of the banter that you were having back and forth with the other person in there, it really was relatable. There was a specific scene in there where, like I said, I was just rolling in my seat, but you all had just rolled up to the house, to the trailer there, and the friend there was like, oh, almost kind of perturbed to be there. And it's like, okay, well, you basically offer him the bedroom, but not before, saying, oh, well, do I get a room? And you're like, oh, yeah, you get a room. And all of a sudden he's like, the living room doesn't count as a room. And I was just like, okay, that would be something that I would say to somebody just to get them on board. So I was just really just hysterically laughing. But
Yeah, Patty's a good person for that kind of stuff. He knows how to make a joke out of almost anything.
and you can tell, you could absolutely tell. And you were mentioning how you were doing the improv, that kind of like unscripted thing, and that's what makes it even more impressive to think about is, yeah, you might have your highlights, like, okay, this is a point we got to hit, this is where we got to hit the here and here, but everything in between is all just kind of banter and improv. That is a level of talent that not many people have, especially when you're getting multiple people involved. You you worry about the
Finding
kind of.
personalities. I can tell you right now, the biggest problem I've ever had was finding a bunch of personalities that work together. You mean like everybody that can work together in groups? Like I've had some series on my channel where I've had 6 people in it. You mean an entire 20 episode series, and all 6 people have to kind of work together and mesh together and actually role play really well together. That's the hardest thing. One of the harder things I've done.
And that would make sense. You get 6 separate personalities all trying to come together at once. I could only imagine the level of difficulties would be not just the personality meshing, but the scheduling, the timing, all that kind of stuff. And especially if you're kind of doing everything off the cuff, like I could only imagine the world of nightmares that would open up. Like more power to you. In all fairness, like holy smokes, I would just kind of go bald by the end of it, just ripping out my.
I feel like that at times, but they're all great people. They all know. You mean we all understand it. They all understand at the end of the day that this is my job, and you mean I got to make a living off of it. So you mean they're great people, and you mean they make their dues as well with what they do. So we all help each other out, and we try to be one brotherhood when we can.
That's fantastic. One of the things that I've really starting to uh, hone in on with kind of my tenure here within this space is the sense of community that exists within the farm sim, community as a whole. There's so many people out there who are willing to just come together and to, be a cohesive unit. When you started your channel, was that kind of a shock to you when you were starting to find out that, hey, there's a bunch of these people out there who are willing to come together and kind of collaborate with one another?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a. Yeah. I was a little bit. Not. You mean. Farm sims just like farming in real life. That's like the best way I've had it explained to me is it's like real life farming. Real life farmers are going to help each other out. So why can't you mean if a real life farmer can help out his neighbor, why can't I help out? You mean someone who's in the exact same situation I am, and knows exactly what I'm going through? Why can't I help him out? you got to show brotherly love to each other. If we're all going to be here at the end of the day, I mean, we've all got to stand together and help each other out a little bit. It doesn't mean we got to give each other our secret formula recipes, but we got to help each other out to make sure that we all know. I mean, if there's some information we can give, help each other out to keep everybody going. Because for me, I view even the small guys, people. I mean, like, sorry to say it like this, but like even people who are at like the 2, 3,000, 1,000 mark, those people, in my opinion, are still very crucial to even the game. I mean, the game and to the community, because without there being small people, that shows. I mean, if say all the small people just quit tomorrow, well, yes, there may be more views than for the big guys, but that shows no one wants to try to make this career anymore, and that shows the views are just dying in it, and that's not what we want to see.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a world of sense. And one thing that I've experienced in other spaces, not in farm sim, but you often get those creators who will pull the ladder up from out from behind them, kind of thing, and almost prevent others from kind of rising the ranks with them. And I haven't seen that here with
I've
farm
seen
sim.
it. I will say this: I have seen that. There are a couple of creators that I've seen try to do that to certain individuals. Um, it's never worked out for those people, though. It's always ended up in a. They've always ended up getting more. You mean their views will end up tanking, or you know, I mean their stuff will end up not doing as good because you mean they'll. For example, someone I've seen some people in the middle of a series just get up and say, "I'm not getting good views in this," and quit. Well, you mean say they say when the series they just started was doing good, maybe that series wasn't doing as good, but yes, their videos were. Time they quit that series, all their other views go down, and they're like, "What happened?" Well, you decided you mean you didn't want to work with the person you were working with anymore. And you mean like when I work with Grant, I know those videos aren't going to get much views, but I know with being with him, I'm going to get exposure. That's the way it has to work. Is we work off each other for exposure and to have good community with each other.
No, and like I said, that's a fantastic way to look at it, because not only are you, able to, secure the ladder, but you're also able to help people, follow up behind you, which is fantastic. It's like I said, it's very heartening to hear that there's so many people out there, and I've talked to, a few dozen people up until this point, and they've all pretty much repeated the same thing over and over, is like we're here to help one another out, kind of thing. Like you said, you might not give away the secret sauce, but we'll at least let you you know piece it together, kind of thing. So that's
Oh yeah,
an
I
incredible
will say
thing.
I learned that the most whenever I met DJ. DJ Goham by far was the most, in my opinion, the person who really made me sit back and rethink the farm sim community because of how much he is the lead example for this community, in my opinion.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So what would you say would be your most memorable moment in your content creation career so far?
So there's two of them actually. So one was when Farm Simulator actually gave me some tickets here recently to go to the PBR rodeo.
Oh wow.
Um, that was a pretty. That was like a moment. It's like this random game that I play for. You mean that I play every day? Got me like I think I looked them up. They were like $150 tickets to a bull riding event. You know what I mean? And they got me three of them for free for 2 days. It's like I thought that was a really memorable moment. On top of that, it would be when I met DJ Goham and he used to be from G Portal, but Dave from G Portal as well. When I went up to North Carolina, and met those two individuals. Absolutely incredible people, and they were the world of difference for this career.
That's fantastic, and I've heard very similar things regarding DJ Goheim, is that he's always been very helpful, with other creators and stuff. So it's again very heartening to hear that there's so many people, regardless of size, that are willing to put their energy into others. That's a very positive thing to be a part of.
There's very few people in this world, especially, like, we all know there's certain people that you can always reach out to. If I have a question about, like, say, a mod that went on Mod Hub, or I have a question, like, I remember a certain mod being out, I could always, DJ Gohan's one of the people I could always text, and he'll have that answer for me within 5 minutes, usually. He's an incredible person when it comes to that type of stuff. Absolute legend, in my opinion.
That's fantastic. So tell me, what are some of your favorite mods for FS25 so far?
So there was just so all my mods are going to be for console. I mean, for not console, PC only. I'm just going to say that now. There was a mod here very recently that just got released for tow winches. It basically makes all the winches and stuff like that where you could normally hook them to wood and stuff like that, where you can hook them to like attaching joints like on tractors and stuff like that, and actually use the winch in game to like winch vehicles and stuff like that off of like a out of like a river or something like that. It just makes it more of a fun situation to deal with. That's definitely been the top one that's been released.
I gotcha. No, and that especially from a content creator's perspective, that would make sense to be a real top mod for somebody like yourself. So that makes the world of sense. You mentioned that UMRV is your favorite map. Would you consider that map maker to be your favorite map maker, or is there somebody out there who you would consider to be higher regards?
So I don't have a favorite. I'll say this right now. I don't have a favorite map maker. Because I respect way too many. I respect all of them, and you mean respecting all of them? Yeah, no. And plus, I have my own like I have someone who I legitimately pay to help out the channel and make maps for the channel. So I can't really say I have a favorite map maker because of that.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So, was there? So let's say that. Let's say you had all the prerequisite knowledge, you had no issues whatsoever, and you could go out and build a map, and it'd be based off of real life. Where would that map be based off of, and why?
I think I think the cliche moment would be, say, like my home farm, but I mean. No, I found the perfect spot to make it. And this is funny you asked this because I said it to somebody the other day. There's a place that's up north. It's near Macon, Georgia. And it's out in the country. It was a beautiful place. Like, it was a bunch of like dairy farms. It was like 3 or 4 dairy farms within like a small area. And like they had like silage bunkers, made out of like dirt silage bunkers and stuff like that. Like, I looked at that place, like they had creeks running all over the place, wide open fields where you could tell they planted a crop there. On top of that, you had the cattle out in some of the fields. That had to be the most gorgeous place to ever make a map, and that would be the place. And why? Just because it looks so good, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't know what your take is of this, and fill me in on how you feel about it. Me personally, when I'm playing a map in Farm Sim, I much prefer a map that is based off of real life because it has that kind of grounding of reality. You get that feeling like, oh wow, okay, like feels like the place that it's representing, to where a lot of the maps, not all, but a lot of them that are kind of based in the fictitious realm, they tend to have that kind of what's the right wording for it? That air of unreal around them. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just me personally, I can pick those maps apart and be like, okay, that just something about that just doesn't feel right. Do you feel the same way about that? Do you prefer a more realistic map or something that's based off of a real life farm, or would you prefer like whatever comes your way just kind of meets certain criteria?
I'm more of a criteria person. Like, even in real life, there's some places that I think's god ugly, and you mean it's beautiful farmland. Don't get me wrong, but for me, it's like it's not like a good landscape. Like, I love trees in a map. I want to see a bunch of trees. Like, whenever I get on a map and I can't place down any more trees and without having to have a mod that allows me to place them down, I'm like, okay, this is a good map because you mean it shows that they put detail into the map. I'm a detail first kind of person.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Yeah, and there's definitely certain maps out there where I can, if it's detailed enough, I can be like, oh yeah, this is something worth investing my time into, kind of thing. It doesn't matter that it's not based off of real life. And
Will say that was kind of the reason I was surprised about the base game American map this time around is the amount of detail they put in that game.
oh yeah, no, for sure. The kind of thing that caught me off guard in regards to detail, I don't know if you noticed this, but up in the north, I think northwestish corner, there's an actual post office that's just kind of there, and
Mhm.
it's the based off of the USPS, but the actual symbol for it is like almost identical. Not quite, but almost identical. And it was one of those where I had actually noticed that because the map itself is supposed to be based off of Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. But if you go to that post office, it actually has a sign that says the city, or not the city, but the state of Oklahoma. So I always found that to be fascinating. But it was just that detail of that post office and how eerily similar it was to every single small town post office I've ever seen, and it being so closely matching to the actual USPS symbol, it just kind of blew me away with the level of detail.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think that is the last question I have for this segment. So let's go ahead and turn our sights to the chat there and see what everybody has uh, questions about. So let's go ahead and let's see. Just catch up with this just real quick. Okay, so I think we asked this for the most part, but we'll go ahead and ask this. So Ken Adlam, thank you so much again for your question. Says, "What is your favorite maps, mods, and vehicles?" So we pretty much figured out your maps and your mods. What about vehicles? What kind of brand is your brand?
So for tractors is John Deere. That's what I grew up driving, and I mean you gotta have it. On top of John Deere, you got your trucks, Ford and Toyota.
Okay, okay. Let's see. And it looks like okay, I'm not seeing any other questions out there. So, again, go ahead and hit your questions here real quick, and we're going to start closing it out. If I see it before we go ahead and close out, then we'll go ahead and ask it. So yeah, this is where we're going to start wrapping things up. The last segment's called "That's a Silage Wrap." So number one, I want to thank you so much for coming out here and doing this interview. I had an absolute blast, as I tend to do on these. I love listening to everybody's stories. So again, thank you so much for coming out.
I appreciate it a lot for letting me come out and tell my story.
Oh, it was my pleasure. So, do you have any future plans or projects that you're going to be working on for your channel?
There's a couple. So for my channel right now, we're kind of in the planning phases of a lot of stuff. We just had a lot of our stuff get released that we were planning there for a while. So now we're back in the let's rebuild what we're going to be doing next. But for me, but there is somebody I am helping out. I had a second channel that I gave it to someone who I believe is going to be a really good, strong YouTuber one day, and so I'm currently helping him make a unseen mega, kind of like what I had, and hopefully that will be coming out I think the editor said that he's gonna have that ready by the either 16th or 23rd.
Oh, fantastic. Do you want to shout out who that is, or do you want to just kind
Oh
of?
yeah. So the person who'll be making it will be my buddy Marshall, and the channel you'll be doing it on is the Fear Night Plus, Fear Night channel.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, go check them out over there, and show some support and show some love. So you want to tell us once more where everybody can find you at?
Of course, you got the regular YouTube channel, which is FearsomeRhino2, and then you got the TikTok, Twitch, which, by the way, we do Twitch streams. We do 2 a week. We do the iRacing stream on Wednesdays, and then Saturdays is usually a stream if I'm able to, or in the mood, how do I say. On top of that, you got the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, everything like that.
Excellent, excellent. So again, I want to thank you one more time, Fearsome Rhino, Nate. Thank you so very much for coming out here tonight. I had an absolute blast, and I hope you did too.
Had a great one.
Excellent, excellent. So this is the part where I turn to the audience really fast and say, if there's a creator out there, if there's a YouTuber, Twitcher, modder, map maker, whoever they may be, that you would like to see me do an interview with, go ahead and send me a message here in chat. Send me a message on any of my social medias, and I will do my best to reach out to them and try and get them onto the channel for an interview. I really hope that everybody here enjoyed it here tonight. And of course, if you did, please show me by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things. The algorithms enjoy you doing. The shows you're engaged with the channel and enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care. Hey, Nate, hold on just 1 second until after the outro, and I'll catch you on the other side.
All right, see you, bud.
All right. Take care, everyone.